Oh no, it was no surprise at all. Um, I saw it in him when he was very young. He was always into war games, conflicts, strategy. He would make these movies with, get all the neighbor kids together, and all of our siblings, his siblings. 'Cause I have a big family. Plus, I had foster kids too, so we always had lots of children to play with. And he would make these home movies, and he would direct them. And I still have them on videotape. It's hilarious. But he was always into strategy and role playing, and he was always the protector type too. I remember when he was about 4 years old, he started crying because he twisted the Oreo cookie. He twisted an Oreo cookie and separated it. And then he was crying because they didn't have each other anymore. And then later, just before he went into the military, right before he went to boot camp, he bought me a statue of a little boy holding 2 pieces of Oreo cookie. He was just always tremendously caring, empathetic personality. Always wants to fix, rescue, repair, and I think that's why, and defend, protect, and I think that's why he was drawn to the military, for those kind of values.
Tell me about his connection to the family. I think you mentioned something about what he did for Jack.
Oh, okay. I'll go back about a year before that. He was going to Miami-Dade. He was homeschooled all his life. He's been out of the country several times on mission trips, and I thought that was very important that my children get outside the country, so they are grateful for what we have, and they appreciate what we have in this country, and also a sense of helping others. We've always done tremendous amount of community service. But he was going to Miami-Dade, and he was actually had signed up, had not signed the very last papers, but had signed up to go in the Air Force. He wanted to be a pilot, and he wanted to be a pilot from the time he was very young. And he met a Marine recruiter. He was going to Miami-Dade. And he just connected with this recruiter, and he came home and told me that he was going to go, and he went on delayed entry, so he had a few months where he didn't go in. He signed up in July, and we all went and watched him get sworn in, and then he had a lot of training to do. I asked him, just give me a couple months to get used to the fact that you're going, because my oldest son had gone to university, and it was very difficult to have to start seeing your children leave home, no matter where they were going. It's very difficult, even though you have a house full, whether you have 1 or 15, it's still difficult. He went to boot camp, and he was there for 13 weeks. And we went to Family Day, and it was graduation. First day is Family Day, second day is graduation. So we spent the entire day wandering around in these long lines, and he showed us, around the base. And then at the end of the day, he left, and he walked into the barracks to go check in, and that was it. We wouldn't see him again until the next day, and he'd be released after graduation, after the graduation ceremony. So Jack's dad had taken him to the bathroom, and he was taking a sort of a long time, and we were all tired and hungry, and so we called him on the cell phone, and he said that Jack was having a seizure, a grand mal seizure, and he has no history of anything before this. Perfectly healthy except for asthma. I mean, this kid was reading, Shakespeare at 7, and extremely intelligent. So, long story short, he was transported from Paris Island base to the hospital in Beaufort and tentatively diagnosed with adrenal leukodystrophy, and we followed up when we came home. So that was a few months later. He was diagnosed properly. There was a lot of misdiagnosis going on, a lot of ignoring medical facts. So finally, he was diagnosed properly. The end of August in 2008, and the doctors here told us there's nothing to be done. Just take a lot of pictures. Go home and take a lot of pictures. So I got a second opinion from Dr. Google, and within a week we were on a plane to Minneapolis, and that is where the world specialists are for this disease that specialize in stem cell transplantation. And all the kids were tested, and my oldest daughter was a match, but they do not like to use the daughters because it's an X-linked and she could be a carrier and she could end up giving him back what, passing on what we were trying to get rid of. And we did not want to put that burden on her. That would be, we felt that at her age, she was 21, it was just too heavy of a burden to put on her. So it turned out that the next day we got notified by the hospital that they had another match, and it was an 8 of 8 sibling donor, meaning one of the other kids was a match, and they didn't tell us who it was until we went into clinic for just a checkup. It turns out it was Matthew, and so I called the Red Cross and got him released, and he flew to Minneapolis and underwent workup, and he donated his bone marrow to Jack October 21st, 2008. And he grafted within a week. Jack had all his brother's bone marrow. He was 100% donor. So I guess that gives me a unique perspective on other parents whose kids deploy into a war zone, because as terrified as I was that I could lose him, I also wanted him to be a grown-up, and I wanted him to seek experiences in life and not hide in the closet, not hide in anonymity, but go out and experience life and do what his passion is. And I also was so grateful, just beyond grateful, that he had given us extra time with Jack, and dealing with Jack's prognosis. I've had to really face death in the face, and life is just temporary. That's all. And when your time is up, your time is up. It doesn't matter what you do or don't do. And the worst thing that a person could do is not. When our sons and daughters go into the military, we need to support them and allow them to be grown-ups and to do what they do, because it's a very brave, courageous act. And so I did what I did during the time after the transplant. He couldn't deploy for 2 years. As soon as 2 years was up, he went in and volunteered to go. And he went in July of 2011, came back beginning of February, end of January, I think it was. And he left and came back in North Carolina, and I couldn't be there. And I'm kind of glad. because I just don't know how I would have held it together, you know. And I wouldn't want him to be an embarrassment, you know. But it was very difficult while he was deployed. But I am quite busy with Jack and with the other kids. I still have other kids at home, and I found that I got involved. What helped greatly was getting involved in a lot of organizations, a lot of troop support organizations that support all branches of the military. And there's a lot of military parents in them. There's a lot of former military, and it gives you something to focus on. You have to change your focus. It's not your toddler walking into traffic. This is a grown-up. Your child is a grown-up, and they've made that decision to do what they're doing, and you have to respect that. And as anxious as you might get, you do have to respect their choice and be proud of them.